Hi everybody, I'm Maddie.
And I'm Amber.
And we're
Witches Talking Tarot.
And today we're going to be discussing, well, the original title for this was Religion and Animals, but the more research we did, it was less religion and more spirituality.
Yeah, well, and I still like the title of it being Religion and Animals because that's the subject of the episode.
Right.
It's just we found out that there's no way to know until we can read their minds or communicate on their level.
So, spirituality can be more observed, but religion is more like that,
Well, because, here's the thing about religion. If we can't communicate with them, we don't know what it is that they're doing. Maybe they really do have something behind these actions we're watching, but we don't know that. Because, spirituality is one thing, but religion is specifically focusing on something.
Yeah.
And what I did find, though, is that some animals do hold belief systems. Just not, we don't know, we will never know on the religious part until we can communicate with them on their level.
Well,
does that make sense?
No, I totally get it. I totally get it because they can't tell us and we can't communicate.
Right.
Oh my God, maybe I don't know. Sometimes little chimpanzees can do the ASL hand thing.
Yeah, sign language. Yeah.
But that's so rare. And
and again, that's been taught to them by humans, right?
Exactly.
So it's not something that's innate for them. What inspired this episode, guys, is that thing that you see online where it's elephants worship the moon. No, they don't. So they wave branches at the waxing moon, but there's no way for us to know that they are worshiping the moon. We assume that because we're humans and we're watching these elephants waving these branches at the waxing moon.
Basically, until they can tell us why, we can only speculate.
Right, exactly. So and that's why this episode became about spirituality, because it probably, maybe that action is a spiritual thing. Maybe it's not. I told Maddie, I think that they are waving those branches at the waxing moon or the waning moon, whatever it is. They're waving the branches at the moon that's getting darker, right? And I think it's literally they are signaling that the new moon is coming because the nights are getting darker. So eventually there's going to be no moon lighting the night, and that's what the branch is being waved about is. But here's the thing, as witches, we follow the moon cycles. Some of us even worship the moon.
Well, the ancient people used to follow the moon cycles as well. It just makes sense.
Well, and to me, it's of course animals follow the moon cycles. They're more connected with all natural things than we humans are. So, of course, they follow the moon cycles. They follow the sun cycles. They follow the cycles of nature because they're out in it all the time. Their entire life revolves around those things. Does that make it worship? We don't know because we can't communicate with them. We can only observe them through a human lens.
Well, and the thing that I noticed upon doing this research is all of the animals that have been observed having, some form of spirituality, some form of belief system that we can understand are the more intelligent ones, like primates. Elephants are extremely smart. I mean, there's a reason why Ganesha is the fucking god of wisdom. He gained his god of wisdom status because he got the elephant head, and they were known for their wisdom. Which we need to do an episode on Ganesha.
I am so uncomfortable with that.
Oh, you are? Okay,
so
why?
Uncomfortable.
What's uncomfortable about it?
How he became Ganesha? With the elephant head?
Getting his head cut off?
Yes. All of that makes me uncomfortable.
I
told
love
you that.
the Ganesha.
I know.
I forgot about that. I love the
it makes me so uncomfortable.
I love it. It's
subject matter is the best way to put it. It's very discomforting. But it's elephants are that wise animal because they know, they go back to the same patterns. They mourn their dead. They go back to where their dead have fallen to pay respects to the dead. And that is why he's the god of wisdom. Because they exhibit all of these behaviors.
Leave flowers and
you read they try to bury their dead, right?
They try to bury their dead. They come back to their dead. They leave flowers and sometimes food with their dead. It's very similar to like primates. Primates also like dance when they go around like certain.
Well, they go to waterfalls.
Yeah.
What's her face that lived with the apes or chimpanzees? She watched them dance at waterfalls, and she attributed that. Jane Goodall, thank you. She attributed that to spirituality, because she was like, they are overjoyed by the beauty of this natural thing.
Which again is like that natural religion with the moon, and then you have with the water.
It's celebrating something and that they're like appreciating. And again, like you can think that there's religion behind it, but we don't really know. It does seem like a religious practice to some observers. But I think it's beautiful that they appreciate the natural things in their world, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, absolutely. And I mean,
beautiful.
like, again, like, dolphins are extremely smart as well. Like, it...
Well, and it's like, so one thing that I found very interesting that I learned in this research was all vertebrates have ritual.
Vertebrates being, I can't remember. Spines.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you got vertebra. So like fish, birds, so not insects, but reptiles. Everything that's a vertebrate has ritual.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. So like ritual, not necessarily like we mean ritual as witches, right? So like not that they're having a ritual to honor a god or a goddess or having a ritual for a religious purpose, but the word ritual itself encompasses anything that we do in a ritualistic manner, such as animals greeting each other. That is a ritual thing that all vertebrates have in their cultures, because animals have culture, guys.
I mean, it makes sense because, like, bringing the primates, certain tribes, I guess, are they called tribes? What are they called?
We talked about it with Bigfoots, exactly.
You know,
like, what are they called? But family groups?
Family groups have...
Or
they
communities, I guess. Communities would be a better... Because maybe they're not all related. They're not family, but that's the community they live in.
They do certain things that the other one doesn't. And also, like, I read a really sad story. Gotta tell Amber. Or I told Amber, gotta tell you guys... This, like, Timble monkey, not a fan of Timble monkeys, they're so assholes. But, like, this Timble monkey literally carried her baby's skeleton around with her everywhere. And she would even sleep with it. And it slowly started to, fall apart as skeletons do. But she wouldn't let go of it. And that's so sad to me. And it's like...
Hear that thunder?
I know,
Sorry.
It's just... It's
no.
very similar, like, with the whale pushing the calf for 2 weeks. I remember following that.
Yeah, and to me, like, animals enacting those behaviors where it's like, they're not enacting what we have been taught is animal behavior, which their offspring dies, they move on to having another offspring because they genetically want their genes out there, which, biologically, we all genetically want our genes out there. But the act of these animals that are parents, not just caring for their young, but then mourning their young when they're dead and honoring their body, or even carrying them around because they're hoping that they can somehow reanimate, right? As humans, we can all, if we have offspring of our own, we can all identify with that thought process, right? You would do anything to bring them back. But the fact that they are doing those behaviors, to me, shows spirituality in these animals, because they're not just acting on biology. My baby died, it's going to not grow up, so now I need to make more offspring. You know what I mean? Because I know from nature documentaries, that's what I was always taught from, the narrator. Like, when this creature, one of the pups gets, taken by a predator or something like that, and then they're like, yep, the mom's now only got 2 mouths to feed.
Some of them motherfuckers throw their babies at the predators.
Oh my God,
they know they can fucking have another one. I was gonna say something, that's why I zoned out. It was super important, and I don't fucking remember what it was, but it was about religion and animals. That doesn't narrow it down, does it?
And like, other than like mourning behaviors, there are a lot of animal behaviors that could be viewed as spiritual, like from the standpoint, and that are positive or happy behaviors, right? So like animals where animals of different species that come together and take care of each other like a family would, even though in nature we would think of them as not the same, not going to get along, not going to be a family unit. I mean, the fox and the hound. I mean, come on. No. The fox and the hound, like, they loved each other. They're supposed to be enemies, but they loved each other because animals are more than just fodder for the human race. Because let's be clear, soapbox moment. People put themselves above animals somehow. Animals are pure, or more pure than we as humans are. Animals live a natural cycle. They follow the moon cycles. We are finally getting back to that. We're getting smart enough for that. But humanity at some point in history was told,
I know, I'm about to go off it on it
You're
too.
better. You get to do whatever you fucking want with this world. And you know what, guys? Look at this world. What's going on with this world? Are we afraid that we're frying the planet with global warming? Are we afraid that we're ruining it for future generations? Are we afraid that humans are going to go extinct? Either because lack of intelligence, let's say, or because we literally are fucking up our homes and the places that we live in and the animals that help us sustain and the plants that help us sustain. We're just ruining it all because we think somehow we're better. We think with our soft bodies and our fingernails that break when they're wet and our very few sharp teeth, we think we're the top of the food chain somehow.
Well, I'm so
we
sorry.
think we can call sharks?
Like,
sorry, go ahead.
No, you totally... No, I love sharks.
I love sharks!
I love sharks,
No.
but like, okay, no. Okay, as someone, particularly where we live, in the Bible Belt, there's a lot of people under the misconception. I'm going to call it a misconception, okay?
Absolutely.
Fuck yeah if you disagree. But they're under... I'm sorry, that was rude. Wait, that was rude. I didn't mean...
We agreed to disagree,
right,
and you
thank
might
you.
be wrong.
As soon as I said it, I was like, wait, soapbox moment. I'm sorry, guys.
Yep, soapbox moment. We
Guys.
think we're right, okay? Just understand that. We automatically think we're right.
People are under this, like, misconception. Again, I am going to call it a misconception that animals don't have feelings because they don't have souls. Now, I'm not going to... It just, it pisses me off so much. Or that they do have feelings, but it's not like humans, and it doesn't count because they don't have souls. Because for some reason, someone, some religion, decided to tell everyone, no, animals don't have souls. They're not going to heaven. Only humans have that gift. Only humans were gifted with souls.
No.
No.
Like I said to Maddie when we were, like, doing our prep for this episode, no, that's bullshit. That's wrong. Everything has a vibration. Animism is the belief that everything has a soul. And here's my deal, okay? If you believe in color magic, if you believe in crystal magic, if you believe in herb magic, then you believe in motherfucking animism too. So if you're carrying rose quartz around in your bra while saying a dog ain't a person, you're wrong. Because here's the thing. Everything has a vibration. That's why we use the things we use magically the way we use them magically, because they have a vibration, and their vibe is what we use for the properties that this magic goes along with, right? And their vibe is their essence. And what is our essence? Our fucking souls. Okay, you can go back to the
We're
soapbox.
energy, and energy cannot be destroyed. Like,
Absolutely.
whether you're a fucking dog or a person, you know
Yeah,
what I
or
mean?
a stone, or a blade of grass, or a fucking tree.
Exactly. It makes me
So plant
so
responsibly,
mad.
people. This isn't a plant episode, but plant responsibly. Don't plant shit that's going to have to get pulled up or killed or whatever.
It makes me so mad when people use animals for profit specifically. And then they think, like, look, there's nothing wrong with having, like...
And that's your investment instead of a person.
Look, I
And I am going to call them people too, because that is the only way I think I'm going to get through to some people is by calling the animals. They're people too. Whales, they're people too. That whale that carried her dead baby around and now is having whales attack ships, that's because they figured out, we're not the top of the food chain. They can do something about us. Sorry, go ahead.
There's nothing wrong with having a prized horse that you love so much and you ride around and they're your pet and you take them to let's do like a
competition and we win and we win $500. Right.
Than locking.
If you're taking care of your horse properly. If you are not taking care of that animal, like I used to have a horse. I didn't have a horse. When I took riding lessons, there was a horse named Big John. He was 18 and a half hands high. And I'm tiny, y'all. I'm tiny. As a person, I'm not big. I was 11 years old. I rode Big John. I barely had to use my crop on Big John. If you know horses, you know 18 and a half hands is big. Barely used my crop on Big John. 11-year-old me. Met Big John's owner one day. Shocked that I didn't have to use spurs on him because he had to use spurs every time he rode Big John. Probably because he didn't treat Big John very well. Unlike me, who knows Big John's a people too.
We were barefoot. So, there was no spurs, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we weren't allowed because it was horseback riding lessons. But I just mean, his owner had to use spurs. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even use my crop unless they told me I had to. And even then, I barely used my crop, and he did exactly what he was supposed to because we had a symbiotic relationship, which is what Maddie's talking about with, that's not what she's talking about. If you have a symbiotic relationship with your animal, it is not what she means when she says profiting off of them. And sorry, I just thought Big John was a good story to illustrate.
No,
that.
It's totally different than having multiple dogs locked in a crate in your backyard.
And that's just cruel. Do you agree with the American prison system where we lock up a bunch of people and then profit off of them because America made it privatized? Oh, you don't agree with that? Then you don't agree with doing it to dogs either.
Not just dogs, but they have fucking cats. Okay, there's a reason.
Animals.
Yeah, animals. There's a reason why people are trying to get rid of backyard breeders, and it's something that I'm very passionate about because I lost not one, but 2 dogs because backyard breeders overbred them and they died from hormone cancer. I, in my lifetime, have had 2 dogs pass away from that from being overbred. Imagine how many dogs die every year from being overbred like that. But it's okay. But it's okay because they don't feel anything because they're just dogs. And what they do feel doesn't count because they don't have souls because they weren't gifted by God to have souls like we do. That's the mentality.
Right. Even in The Giver, women were only supposed to have 3 kids. That was their job for life. 3 kids. Why are you going to make an animal have litter after litter after litter? Even if they would naturally do it in nature, they would naturally do it. They would naturally have as many litters as they're supposed to. So if they are an animal that breeds until it dies, fine. That's their fucking biological choice to engage in. But it's not our choice to force upon them. It shouldn't be something you look at as, I can do this. I'm going to get 2 of these creatures and I'm just going to keep putting them together. And putting them together and putting them together and then selling off their offspring and selling off their offspring and selling off their offspring because they don't matter. They're just things. It's like I took a rock and I chiseled it down and I sold the pieces off. But no, it's fucking not. And also don't do that to rocks.
Also, rocks feel so.
Yes, exactly. Rocks are people too.
No,
I will say this about everything until you understand. They're people too.
It's just, it bothers me. And dogs, since we're talking about dogs right now, they too have, Amber and I have seen personally within the past, has it been a year or 2?
This was my 2nd birthday without her, so it's been
about
it'll
2
be
years.
2 years in March.
Okay, so I lost my dog a little bit before Amber lost her dog, unfortunately. It was a very rough time for both of us. I lost my dog because she was a breeder and she was overbred and died from a hormone cancer. cervical, breast, and uterine. It was just all over her. And the vet straight up said, this happens when you overbreed dogs because their hormones go all out, basically. Anyway, she unfortunately passed away. It was a horrific death. I'd like to fucking state that right now. She bled a lot, unfortunately, and became anemic, and it was at a point where we had to put her down. Like, and it escalated so quickly. It was within like a weekend that it got so bad, which is why she didn't immediately go to the vet. Because I think you remember it was the weekend, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. What's happening? It was extremely painful. So if you're, going to be breeding dogs until they fucking literally die, till they like get fucked to death. I'm sorry to be fucking morbid about it, but it's true. Yeah. Just know the horrific death that you are pretty much
I'm sorry if we offended you, but I'm not sorry.
Right,
I'm sorry. So graphic because you know what?
It's true.
It's true. It's real life. It's what happens all the fucking time.
Well, my dog was a rescue from a fucking, backyard breeder, and she passed away, and I brought, when we brought her back from being put down, we brought out the other dog, my Penelope, who was a puppy. She was pretty much raised by Sansa, my oldest dog, and we showed her, the dog, because that's what you do, Some people don't know that, but that's what you do.
You should. You should
do that because they mourn. Because they feel.
They're people too.
And she just howled and cried, and I had to bring her back inside before my husband started burying her, and I had to pretty much pick her up because she was so little, she's a pug. And the whole time she's scratching me and howling and crying and looking over my shoulder. And then I shut the door when we came in, and she scratched at the door and howled and cried and ran from one side of the house to the other. It was probably one of the most devastating things I've ever experienced when it came to an animal passing away. It was already very sad, but the reaction of the other dog just made it too much. And Amber was actually over, was it a couple days or a week around after that? And she was just looking for that other dog. And it was so sad.
Because they care. They do feel things. They feel things very deeply, just like we as people do. Mm-hmm. Because we are feeling beings, and so are the animals. We see evidence all over the natural world of animals that grieve and mourn for their fallen pack mates. Like when Shelby passed away, we let her say goodbye to the other dogs before we left, because I knew that they would want to say goodbye to her, because very much like with Maddie's dogs, Shelby was the mother figure for these other dogs, for Rufus and Starla. Rufus, he came into our household when he was like 4 weeks old, because the people that had, backyard breeders breeding their little dogs and then being like, these dogs are too expensive to take care of, and taking them away from their mothers before they should, which leaves them with permanent issues. Like, I promise you, my daughter bottle feeds this dog who was taken away from his mother too young.
Oh yeah, cats will suck on blankets.
Yeah, and he loves that bottle because he wants that comfort, and that was denied him by a human being. But anyway, I digress. So we let them say goodbye to Shelby. We came back after we took her to the vet, and they came over and they saw her, and then we had them out in the backyard with us while we dug her grave under the mulberry tree, and Starla actually came over and helped in that process. Like, it was obvious that she knew what she was doing. Like, she knew she was participating in that act, and almost ritualistically, she was a part of that, because vertebrates all practice ritual. whether it's greeting, comforting. Like, we see it in the bird world. Like, there's pigeons that comfort each other.
I was going to mention birds. That's what it was. Thank you. Yeah. Penguins mate for life.
Yeah, there are a lot of birds that mate for life.
Swans mate for life.
And they also have, like, they have ritual in their mating in general.
Will
like,
give
pebbles.
rocks.
Yeah.
Pebbles, yes.
And, like, there's so many birds that put on elaborate dances that, like...
The peacock.
Yeah, they choreograph themselves. They come up with their own special dance to attract a mate.
I saw a thing where
dinosaurs
used to do that, too.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs, you know what I'm talking about?
You know what? You say that.
And the little dinosaurs like this with this little
in my head, I'm like, da-da-da-da. The theme song to Dinosaurs is playing, and I'm watching Earl in my head as he dances for his wife. It's Charlene's the daughter, Fran. Well, Earl's dancing for Franny, and because they did practice ritual because they were vertebrates as well. And vertebrates, ritual is ingrained in all of us. So if ritual is ingrained in all of us, and a care for our young is ingrained in all of us, and caring for a pack is ingrained in the majority of us, you can't tell me that animals aren't spiritual beings in the exact same way that humans are spiritual beings. Because spiritual does not equal religion, guys. Yep. Spiritual means...
the belief in more, I would think.
Yeah, and
the practice.
The practice. Like, because to me, like, for me, being spiritual very much involves nature, and animals are a part of that, right? But then... you say beliefs, and scientists have actually, there's at least 7 species of animal that has beliefs. They have, like, there's a scientific structure that goes along with, like, determining whether or not these things hold belief systems or not. And, like, dogs, magpies.
I saw that. Magpies, yes.
Yeah,
okay,
like,
I know
there's a bunch of different animals that they hold belief systems.
Also
you can't tell me that they hold belief systems and don't. Oh my God, you can befriend them. Kay from Fuck My Work Life, she talks about there's this crow that she throws snacks to, and then, like, while she's walking on her work breaks, and now, like, that crow waits for her to come out. And even when she doesn't have very good snacks or something, he's still, like, right there with her because that's her buddy now. Because they do.
Companionship.
They
do.
Companionship. They do. And they're attracted to shiny things. Like, come on, like Jeremy the Crow from The Secret of Nim. That motherfucker, spiritual as hell.
Well, like, it's like my grandmother, and I absolutely grew up with the belief that animals have souls and animals, my grandmother will sit there and have a fucking conversation with animals, and it's hilarious. She used to walk around before Jerry unfortunately passed away. He was very, very, very old cat. She'd walk around outside, and that cat would follow her around, and they'd just have a full-on conversation. She'd be like, hey, what should we do for lunch? Meow. I know he was talking to her. Like, I know he was. Like,
Erebus answers us. Like, 100% that motherfucker be talking. He be talking all the time.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, what are you... I just want to know what they were saying. But, like, she would. And, like, she just knows what animals want and are saying. It's the weirdest thing. It's like, we're having a conversation on our porch. She's like, yeah, there's this possum named Wilbur. I named him Wilbur, and he keeps coming up. And
power of attraction.
I know. And this motherfucker, she looks at me and makes this face, and I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, fucking Wilbur. And I look over there, and this possum's fucking walking up on her porch just...
Because vibes, animals can read vibes just like they give off vibes. Because we all have souls. We all have an essence.
That is, animals do read fucking vibes. You know
they
what I mean?
Absolutely
Dogs
do. Just
don't like certain people for certain reasons.
Right. Dogs come over to you when you're sad.
Dogs
and they comfort
literally
you.
Can detect when you're sick, when you're going to have a seizure, when you're having a panic attack, because they feel vibes.
Cats purring actually heals us. Actually heals us. The frequency of a cat's purr. Like, you can't tell me they're not
I'm
spiritual
sorry. I
beings.
think this is spiritual. People could say it's explained by science, but I guess most spiritual stuff people could say that about. But dolphins know when you're pregnant or when you're breastfeeding.
Yeah.
You know, did you
They
know
probably can smell the
that?
milk.
They can smell
They can
the milk.
smell the hormonal changes.
But they also...
Because animals are better than us if
they
you didn't catch that.
They communicate with ultrasound. So they can literally hear the baby in the mom's stomach.
That makes sense.
And they will go up to mom's stomachs and they will kiss them, or they won't play with them. Like, I just watched a video on TikTok where this girl got in the water and the dolphin was playing with everybody, would not go near her. She's like, what the fuck? And they're like, are you pregnant? And she was like, no, she was breastfeeding. So they didn't want to risk the chance of playing with her and her possibly getting harmed because they knew she was a mother.
Young to take care of.
Yes, and like...
Because if you're actively breastfeeding, then you actively have an infant that you are the primary source of nutrition for. Mm-hmm. And dolphins understand the importance of this because they're spiritual beings. Because again, animals are better than people.
Right, literally. And the fact that the first thing the fucking instructor asked is, are you pregnant? Because dolphins know when people are pregnant sometimes before we even know it ourselves.
You know what? Part of me goes, so that would be any marine mammal because they all like...
I don't know. Maybe...
So dolphins and porpoise and whatever else has that...
Like a whale?
Yeah.
You know, I haven't heard anything about that. I wouldn't be surprised. I think dolphins are the only one we really know because they're the only ones we really play with.
Which is sad because porpoise are cute as fuck, guys. Like,
you know what I love?
Love porpoise.
Not a porpoise, but you know what I love?
Excuse me.
Manatees. I love it.
I'm a pretty big fan. I never seen one in real life, whereas like when my kids were kids, we were swimming at Indian Rocks Beach in Florida, and there was a pack of dolphins that went swimming by.
Oh.
And all the time, like, I lived in Florida as a kid, guys. Never seen dolphin in real life before. Like, my uncle was a scuba instructor, and he took people swimming with dolphins, and he was supposed to take me, and my brother and sister got to go, but I'm the fucking youngest, and we moved away from Florida before I was old enough to go, and then my uncle didn't do that for a job anymore when I was older, so I never saw a dolphin in real life. I was low-key obsessed with them. I did a huge school project on the differences between dolphins and porpoises, because they're not the same thing. They're related, but they're not the same. Anyway, so like, I like, not dugongs, but what did you just say? Sea cows. Manatees. I was like, there's a name for them. So I like manatees, but dolphins are just dolphins. I loved them.
Have you
loved them. Because like, dolphins will fight sharks off. Dolphins... Because animals are better than people. Dolphins will fight sharks off from... Like, if you're swimming in the ocean and there are dolphins around and a shark is coming up, they will fucking pack animal around you, keep that shark away from you, and keep your sorry human ass alive. Even though half of you will then throw your plastic in the ocean.
Okay, so have you...
Not half of you listening to us, because you guys are also better.
You guys are awesome.
Yes.
So have you heard of a wildfin? Like, this is a real thing. It's an extremely rare hybrid of a dolphin and a killer whale.
Does that happen naturally?
It's
nature?
Very rare. Yes, very rare though. Like, it's very rare. Is that not the creepiest looking thing?
Actually, no, I think it's kind of cute. But
oh my god, I think it's
like
creepy
porpoise, and I love dolphins and porpoise. But I go, that was a ballsy fucking dolphin that mounted that killer whale.
Well, now I have to know
that a female dolphin could handle the killer whale. I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think, because I'm all like, how could the dolphin be the female in that situation.
I'm sorry, no one has observed a wolfen in the wild.
Yeah, so that's a people thing. That's gross.
That's a people thing. That
fucking disgusting.
Sucks.
I'm sorry, like,
No, I did not.
Y'all are wrong for that shit. Stop fucking with the animal kingdom,
okay,
y'all.
So
it's not your goddamn place.
Do happen naturally or no?
I don't think so. I think that is a human creation.
First of all, ligers are huge as fuck and they're dangerous as fuck.
Well, not just that, they're like super unhealthy. It's not good for them.
No, well,
like,
it's like
stop
the white,
fucking with animals.
The
people.
white tigers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, that was a fucking like epidemic. Like where they were just interbreeding them, and then they got so sick and they started developing things like Down syndrome.
People,
that's where that mentality.
This is not okay. Yes, they're just animals. We can do what we want.
I did not know that was like, not wild. Like
look at dogs. Look at dogs. We have fucked up so many breeds of dogs. Like, because we're all like,
they were bored. If you look into like
I want the dog to have this trait, and I want it to have this trait, and we're gonna breed it to where it's got these short, stubby little legs and this long body, because then they can go after mice for us, even though pretty sure cats existed. Oh, but they're evil because they're associated with witches. Humans, stop being so people-y. Y'all suck. Not the listeners to this show. The other people.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So, like, Chihuahuas are straight up companion dogs. That's what they're called. Chihuahuas are companion dogs. They have no other purpose other than to be a fucking companion. I guess they get rats and stuff.
But it became like, it was a thing. Like, oh, I'm royalty, so I've got this little thing that I carry around with me. It was a status symbol. And it was like, okay, and it's bullshit because they're living creatures that are spiritual.
Literally in, I think it was Scotland or Ireland. Scotland or Ireland, one of the two. There was a time, I think it was the either late 1800s, mid 1800s, or early 1900s. Literally, they were bored. They didn't have TV. They were like, I've read this book 4 fucking times. Let's see what the let's see what the fuck we can make. And then it became a literal thing. Like, I'm pretty sure this is how dog shows originated. I may be wrong if that's how, but I know that there was literally a dog show where it was like, let's see how unusual a breed we can fucking make. Or this one has this type of ears. Isn't it super cute? This one has this type of, isn't it super cute? And it was literally a whole ass thing for years where people were just breeding to make random ass dogs. How's this one going to turn out? How's this one going to turn out? And it's not even just dogs. I recently saw this one where this guy's a snake breeder, and he was specifically trying to breed snakes that had an emoji on their fucking skin.
This stuff literally infuriates me. Like, I find it despicable what humanity has done to canines. I find it despicable what humanity has done to felines. I find it despicable what humanity has done to equines and bovines and anything else we can get our grubby little fucking hands on where we think we can make it better than Mother Nature did in the first place.
Sometimes it's not even to fucking make it better. Sometimes it's to make it worse. Make it worse, or to make it fucking profit. Make fucking profit.
Here's the thing. We have no business doing these things. The natural world is suffering because of what humanity thinks that it just gets to do. I fully understand the irony here, as I am about to say this while recording on a cell phone in a house with lights and air conditioning and all this fancy little shit we got. But our technology is horrible for the natural world. Our artificial light is horrible for the natural world. Our natural light completely and utterly fucks with all of the insect world. Like, all of the insect world. and probably
Our
all of
cell
the plant
phones
world.
do.
Our cell phones fuck with the insect world and probably the bird world. I mean, because wasn't it the cell phones and the insects that are like literally genetically altered because of the fucking signals
But it doesn't
that
matter.
these things go off?
Because
Yeah,
they're-
because it makes our life
Because they're
easier.
aliens. Because they're fucking. They might as well be.
Right, because they're insects, and who cares about that?
And this is why
they don't matter.
you should hashtag go vegan. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking kidding. Please do not turn us off and unfollow us. That was a joke. Should I not have made that joke?
Yeah, no. I was just like, damn, I feel bad. But this is why it's important that you support your local farmers and your local butchers. This is why it's important
that you
to
don't
maybe
support
grow
assholes.
your own food. Yeah, that you don't support assholes.
Shopped.
That
Or
you
adopt,
don't support
don't shop.
Monsanto because fuck Monsanto. This is why it's important that you don't feed into puppy mills or kitten factories by buying these designer animals for thousands and thousands and thousands of fucking dollars.
PetSmart will dead ass repossess your
my-
fucking dog.
PetSmart will dead ass throw away fish that didn't sell. Throw away living creatures.
I know.
They just throw them in the trash. I didn't know they would repossess your dog.
Oh yeah, if you don't
That's
make a
some
payment,
fucked
because
shit.
they sell dogs that come from what? Backyard breeders and puppy mills, and if you can't make the fucking $100+ payment a month, they will come and repossess your dog. Why?
Why? Because they don't matter.
They don't matter.
They're just an object.
Exactly.
It's not like you're taking them away from their family that they love.
No.
But that's what you're doing. You're taking them away from their pack. Yet, again, because you already done did it once, you little fucks. Like, you already fucking took them away from the pack they were born into so that you could sell them to this pack that's got 5 fingers on each hand and 5 toes on each foot. In theory, if you have 6, like, whatever. Just don't get with Inigo Montoya, because the 6-fingered man does not do well with him. Sorry about that. That was a Princess Bride reference for anybody who didn't pick up. But seriously, it's bullshit. They're not just fucking objects of our desire. I mean, they are objects of our desires, unfortunately. That's what we've turned them into, but they're spiritual creatures. All of them. Every single one of them. They're more spiritual than most humans.
Yeah, they are, and they're honest.
Yeah.
And they're better than us.
They are better than us.
And I don't know what to ask the audience at the end of this episode, because I don't want to be like, do you believe our animals are spiritual? Do you?
Do you? What are your thoughts? Like, do you think it's okay for humanity to treat animals like they're just objects of our desire? Or do you think that humanity should start seeing animals as people too? Because everything that we think about ourselves as a species, everything that we think about ourselves as creatures, it all applies to animals.
It does. It really does.
So I think that's a good place to...
I think so.
Yeah, so...
If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can hear more of our soapboxes.
Yes. If you become a Patreon, you can hear more of our soapboxes. So thank you to Victoria, Melissa, Pam, and Death by DVD.
All right.
Find us on the socials at Witches Talking Tarot and on the X at Classiest Witches.
Thanks for sitting with us for a spell.
Bye.